Let's get around forging on. We're forging into a whole different territory. This is not a forging video. I'm in my car, actually waiting on somebody. Anyway, I just wanted to. I was watching the news this morning while I was working from home, and they were talking about all the people trying to cope with the fact they're working from home, where they usually go into office, but they're working from home. Their kids are home from school, and they're going crazy. And so I thought, I've been doing this for 15 years. Maybe I can offer some words of advice. I don't know. Maybe not. So this is what I want to talk about is basically probably for the last 15 years, I got one child's about to graduate college and the other child's about to graduate high school. But they were both homeschooled from kindergarten on until they start college, then they'll go off. And also back in that time, I started working from home part-time, just on certain days. And even right now, I work from home 3 days a week. But with this virus stuff going around and the scares and things and the mandates from the government, that we're probably going to go 5 days a week from home. But I wanted to kind of talk about a few little things maybe I can help out or try to. And I'll reiterate this at the end, but if you have any questions or comments, just put them below, and I'll try to make another video pretty quick. I'll try to do some fast videos here because I don't want people stressing out and stuff, and I'm just trying to be helpful. So the first thing is I personally I do computer programming for a living, and so I can sit at home on a computer. And when I first started this years ago, when my children were real small, before they even started school, kindergarten age, before they were just barely, doing anything, we started. I was working home for certain days, and they always wanted to come in and play. And we lived in a very small house. It was a place my wife and I first started living in. Some 200-year-old log cabin was in her family, and when we first got married, it was just one bedroom, one bath before we had kids. Then the kids came along and started getting real crowded. So but it was real small, so there's no place to go. There was no home office. I mean, I barely had 4 or 5 rooms in the whole place, and it might have been 850 square feet. I mean, you could have a conversation from one end of the house to the other without raising your voice. So anyway, the thing with the children, they would come in and, start, basically, even with my wife would do this. I'm home. She's like, do this, do that, do this. And I'm like, I'm working. I can't. I'm not here. I'm working. And that's what and I told the children, they come in, hey, Daddy, play with me. Daddy, play with me. And I'm like, no, I'm working. When I'm working, we don't play. And for a while, when they were real small, I mean, they were, more like I say, they weren't even in school yet. It was kind of hard for them to grasp, and I might have to tell them that several times over the first, 30 minutes to an hour, and then it would like sink in. You got to give kids credit. They'll learn it fast. They'll understand, and they'll go, a lot further than you can give them credit for. You don't have to keep them occupied, but you have to set the boundaries and the guidelines and the rules. And I would just say, I can't. I'm working. And then they would switch gears after they finally clicked in. Daddy's not going to play with me, so that's no sense begging anymore. And they would just switch gears, and they just start playing by themselves, and they would get their toys out, and they would do all kind of stuff, and I just keep working. And it's harder if you got to be on conference calls and stuff like that all day, but I didn't have to a lot of the times. And if I was on calls, then I'd just say, can you take it to the other room? I got to be on a call, and they would just go in the other room, and and I would just do my calls, and otherwise I'd just sit there and work, and they would leave me alone. And but I have now, we've got a lot larger house, and everybody's got bedrooms and all that, and I've actually got a bonus room which I fixed 13 years ago. I fixed up, started to fix up. I hadn't even really finished it all yet. I just never moved into it. I still just work in the family room, and I sit in the lazy boy, or I go in the basement where I got a couple monitors. So the main points I wanted to get at is, if you have a home office and you can go to it, that's fine. If you're both working and you need to work together, just set some rules. Kids need boundaries. So just set some rules. And if you both got to work, go into a mutual office where you can keep an eye on the kids, and just let them know, play quietly, we're working. And they'll catch on, they'll know it. And if they're old enough to know it, then, that's even more so. Just hold your ground and don't let them just run over you, because that's what, you're their teacher and you're their parent, most of all. Parents are supposed to take care of that anyway. More so than teachers. I bring that up because my wife was a teacher before she started homeschooling. But there are advantages. Look to the advantages. Set the rules and look to the advantages of homeschooling. There's some great advantages, and working from home. When I was working from home and my kids were younger and homeschooling, and I knew other people would do this too, especially if they work from home all the time, they'd plan vacations. And even, the thing with kids in homeschooling is they can get their work done in a third of the time they can in public school. And as long as they're self-motivated and they realize what they can do, they will do it. And they will embrace it, because my kids would get up at 5 in the morning or 8 in the morning or whatever time they wanted to get up. It didn't matter. And they would hurry up and get their schoolwork done, and they'd be done before lunchtime with all their school. No homework, no nothing. They had the rest of the day just to play. And so, and what I would do is I would just do my vacations when everybody else was in school. And so we would take them to Disney World or whatever, and we'd get all the breaks, like, late September, October, and all those stuff. You go to Disney World, and you get all these breaks. Granted, all those places are closed now because of this, quarantine stuff. But that's the advantage of homeschooling is you can do that. And I worked with a guy that was homeschooling, and him and his wife and kids wanted to go to the beach, and he just they would book it and go to the beach, and he would just sit there and work on his computer, and the wife and kids would play and go to the beach and have a good time, and he'd still be working. And nobody would know the difference. He'd be on conference calls, he'd be doing all his work, and he's just doing it from, a hotel room in, Florida or wherever he was at. So there are advantages to it. And there's so many days worth of, for your kids, there's so many days of school. They got to do whatever it is, 180 days of school, or 150, I forgot what the number of days are. But they have to do so many days of school. And my kids would get to so far, and they would do all their assignments, and they would double up on assignments, especially partway through. And where most of the kids get out, say in May, or whatever time of the year, and have the whole summer, my kids would be through beginning of April. And they would have 180 days worth of schooling, but they would go. And then if we took off and we went anywhere and did anything as a family or on a trip, and there was anything that was remotely learning on the trip, we counted it as a field trip. And you just get, have an umbrella company, but I don't know what they're doing with most people now with this quarantining business, but they may be going through the school system. And I don't know, the school system may say, okay, if they're just giving you the work, stress to the children, hey, if you start early and you get this work done, you got the rest of the day to have fun quietly while we're working, and don't let them just run rampant and just say, out of sight, out of mind, I'll go lock myself in an office and they can just destroy the place, because that's setting another bad precedence. Be a parent and do what you're supposed to, and because kids will always, at every age, will always push the boundaries and see how far they can go. And if you keep letting them push the boundaries out, you eventually have an unruly kid that's miserable. It makes you miserable, and their teacher, when they finally go back to school, is miserable. Looking at my notes. But the thing I just want to really, really get into is the homeschooling is not bad. It's more of an autonomous thing, but the kids will realize all the advantages of it and what they can do and how much more free time they'll have in a day. And you can't go socialize anyway. So, what are you going to do? You might as well enjoy the time and spend some family time. And, as far as working from home, Either be there amongst them and control the situation, or, if you got a home office and another person could take care of the children, then do that. If you're a single parent and you're having to do it, just set the guidelines. Do not let the kids overrule you. You keep stressing. You may have to start work early and keep stressing to the kids, don't bug me, don't bug me, don't bug, play quietly, I'm working, or study, do your schoolwork while I'm working, and then you stop and you all have your lunch together, you have your dinner or supper together, you have your breakfast together, and you take the quality time and learn what they're wanting to do and do some fun stuff as a family. We do some things in the evening occasionally. Sometimes we'll just watch a show together. Sometimes we'll play card games together, or we'll play, just board games or anything. But don't stress it. And as I come up with other ideas, I'll try to put more videos out. But I just wanted to tell people that are freaking out over their kids being home and they're trying to work from home, it's easy. And as long as you set the guidelines and the boundary, it's easy, and it can become enjoyable. What's better than going to work in the morning in your pajamas and or sitting around in shorts and a t-shirt like I do and and enjoying it. If you had to get on conference calls, there are people that work from home that have to go through a routine. And I'll go into some more of the things you can do to get yourself in a mindset. But I just want to tell you right now, just don't freak out. Enjoy the time and, do it right, but be the parent and be in control and work from home and take care of the kids and have the kids do their schoolwork, and they'll see how much more time they have to have fun and play in the yard and do whatever they need to do. And because there's a lot of wasted time in schools. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I hope you have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye now.